So, we like to think of our area of study essays as a little thing called showmanship. And you might be asking, what on earth do we mean by that? But if you think about it like this, it's really important that you don't just write an essay which is good and which has the content and has the quotes, but also an essay which is really interesting to read, which has a bit of showmanship, which has some interesting language, good structure, and all the things which create an essay which has sophistication and flair. And that is the way in which success is achieved in your area of study essay. This can only be achieved through practice. And once we've looked over these techniques and the ways which you can improve your essay, you really have to go home and practice essays to ensure that you produce an essay at the end of the day which demonstrates the best of your ability. Today, we're going to be answering questions using your own related material as well as your class material. Practice essays will allow you to build your writing confidence. So both today and in your own time, you need to be using practice essays to ensure that you build up your writing confidence and also your writing style. However, obviously, before you do any of this, you need to ensure that you choose your related material. Because once you write your essay, you need to write it with your one set text and your two related text. So choosing the text is the first step. So, when we're writing our thematic essay, and we can draw on what we've learned in previous videos, you need to examine both essay structure and style. Now, these two things come together to ensure that you have an essay which is really good in its two elements. It's not only structured well and has solid content, quotes, examples, language techniques, but also has style and flair so that it's really interesting to read and really makes you stand out above the crowd. This means that you have to select your text to use. So it's really important that you apply your knowledge to texts so that you can increase the sophistication of your essays and the confidence of your style. So now that you're at the point where you're more into your area of study and you perhaps have a more basic knowledge of the different themes and sub-elements, you can now look at taking those ideas away and applying them on your own to your different essays which you can produce. So, choosing related material is extremely important, and it's not just an issue which should be taken lightly or done quickly before an exam's about to start. It's really something which you need to do in advance so that just like your set text, you have a really good and solid understanding of not only the content of your text, but how you can use it to further your area of study theme. So, a really good idea is to keep a portfolio or scrapbook of texts. And this means writing down the dates texts were published, the composer of the text, the source, so for example, if it's a feature article, what magazine it came from, and the context of your text. And keeping this scrapbook is really going to keep you constantly stimulated and ensure that if you ever do need a related text on a moment's notice, you can just go to your scrapbook and find an appropriate candidate. You can also search for text by famous authors. And then you can read what the critics say and find out if it's relevant. So for example, you can go to Google, look up things which you've heard about and which are famous and well known, and then use these to perhaps assess whether it's appropriate as a related text for your particular area of study. You should also do things like ask your teachers, ask your tutors, parents for suggestions about classic texts which you can use, because their knowledge of text and literature can be really useful for you when you're choosing a text. So, what should you look for when you're looking for related texts? Now, there's a concept which we like to call fool's gold. And obviously, fool's gold is exactly what it sounds like. It looks like gold on the first impression, but at the end of the day, it's really just not what you're looking for. So it's important to follow the guide for the related material which we're going to be examining. You don't want texts which are too basic, too complicated, or don't address the area of study which you really need to be looking at. So what we're going to be doing is steering away from this fool's gold and looking at how we can find texts which are really going to allow you to write successful essays. This means that you shouldn't just use texts because they're your favorite, or because a friend recommended them, or because a teacher recommended them. Because while all of these might mean that they're good texts to read, like to sit down and read in your spare time, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're related to your area of study. And as we've said time and time again, the issue in area of study isn't just whether something's good, but whether something's relevant and answers the question. And that's what you have to be asking yourself when you're looking for related texts. So, the importance of related texts. We really need to examine why you need related texts and why your texts need to be of a high quality. Now, every student studying English Advanced and English Standard will sit English Paper 1. So this means there are about 17,000 students across New South Wales who are going to be sitting the exact same paper and answering the exact same essay question as you are. So that means you need to be able to stand out from the crowd. This means you must have interesting, high quality, and difficult related texts that are really going to impress the marker, so that you don't just blur into the background, but that you really stand out as a solid, well-prepared, and excellent candidate in your English exam. The marker is going to judge you on the quality of your related material, so it's really important that you don't take this decision lightly and that you choose texts which you think are going to be appropriate based on the needs of your essay question and also the relationship with the set text which you've studied in class. And all of these factors we're going to examine in order to ensure that you choose the best text for your potential.